Hello, my name is Kim Dang and I will be doing my presentation on lampreys. So first, the scientific name of lampreys are Petromyzon marinus, and that is typically the sea lamprey, but there are freshwater lampreys, freshwater lamprey species, so they can be found in both freshwater and marine environments. And they are typically in larger bodies of water as adults, such as like the ocean, but as larvae, they are found in rivers and streams. And this is because lampreys as adults go to rivers to spawn, and they build their nests and lay their eggs in these shallow, like gravelly areas. So the larvae will basically live and develop into adults while being in these shallower waters, but they will migrate up to larger bodies of water as they fully develop into adults. And places you will find them are like the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, but for the freshwater, you'll find them in like the Great Lakes. So how do they obtain food? The larvae are kind of known as filter feeders. So when they're in these like streams or rivers, they kind of feed off of like the nutrients in the water, like small organisms and algae. But as they are adults, they move on to bigger prey, like bigger fish. And the way they do this is, as you'll see later, they have these suction mouths that latch onto the side of the prey, and they hook into them by using their hooked teeth, and they kind of burrow in. And then they make a hole into the prey using their tongues, and into the hole they basically secrete an enzyme that prevents the blood from clotting so they can feed. So the predator and prey relationship for lampreys, they're predatorial but more so parasitic in a way, because they don't typically kill their prey, but they do weaken them and they eventually die off. And their prey will typically be like larger fish such as trout, sturgeon, catfish, walleye, Pacific salmonoids, but they are also prey to catfish. There's been records shown of catfish with lampreys in their stomachs, but yeah. And there's also perch, pike perch, mammals, and large birds. So, unique evolved traits of lampreys. They are jawless. So instead of a jaw, they do have the suction cup mouth that I was talking about before, and this kind of sucker mouth suctions onto the prey, and they latch on for predation. The rasping tongue, as you can see in the middle of the picture, they basically dig a hole into the prey and secrete the enzyme. And then they have discs of sharp hooked teeth, and this is what they use to latch onto the prey and kind of grapple on, as you can see. And there's like basically discs and discs of them like circling around the center. Next, they do have light sensitive eyes on the top of their head, but they also do have their regular set of eyes on each side. They also have a skeleton made of cartilage instead of bone, which kind of allows for more flexibility and movement. And throughout their development, they do lose up to 20% of their genetic material. And they also have no paired fins, which kind of gives them a more eel-like appearance. So, lampreys' location on the tree of life, they're in the domain Eukarya, kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrata, superclass Cyclostomy, class Petromyzontida, the order Petromyzontiformes, and lastly the genus Petromyzon. So how is it important to the ecosystem and mankind as a whole? So as larvae, they do filter feed, which kind of circulates nutrients and cleans the water in their habitats. So they're also a food source. So they are prey to like various animals, and they are a food source to them. And finally, they're an indicator species, and that means that they kind of indicate if there is anything wrong with the ecosystem or their habitats, as they're very susceptible to pollutants and ecosystem degradation. So humans can kind of use them to like gauge the health of the ecosystem. Also, I did not include this in the slide, but they are a very old organism. So scientists typically can use them to kind of look at development and evolution, as they kind of are known as like a living fossil person. So here are my citations, and that is it. Thank you.